Welcome to the Hawks Talk podcast. All things Blackburn Hawks.
In behind the defence, cuts around, scores! Blackburn Hawks win this game 8 goals to 5.
All the latest news, player interviews and much more.
Shoots, scores!
Hawks Talk.
Here we go again. Welcome on board for another episode of the Hawks Talk podcast. I'm Graham Hamilton, your host, as we talk about all things Blackburn Hawks. We'll start off episode 10 by talking about the games throughout October. Kicking off the month, we hosted the treble champions from last season, the Solway Sharks. It's never an easy game against the Sharks, who are clinical in front of goal. Hawks losing that game 10-2, but some massive positives to take from it. We then headed south to visit the Solihull Barons. A tough game against a decent side. We lost that one 7-3. And then we were back on the road again, this time to face our long-time rival, the Billingham Stars. Not the result we wanted, coming out of that one with a 5-2 loss, one which I believe will definitely get back later in the season. The following night, we hosted the returning D-side Dragons here at the Nest, a game that I think a lot of Hawks fans were looking forward to and equally as nervous about. With lots of returning faces and a close and physical game. For me, probably the game of the season so far. We beat the Dragons 7-3. And finally, the most recent game, up the M6 and across the border to face the Solway Sharks again. I couldn't make this game, which I was gutted about, but I was able to listen to it courtesy of Andrew Glenn and the media team at the Sharks. A superb performance from the Hawks and proof that yet again we are improving game by game. Sadly, it was a 5-2 loss, but overall a fantastic performance from the lads. So at this point of recording, we are sitting 7th on 6 points in the Morley or NIHL 1 North, having played 9 games. We've won 3 and lost 6, but don't worry, lots of hockey still to be played this season. Thank you as well to NIHL Stats on Facebook for that information. Coming up on Sunday, the 12th of November, we have our Armed Forces Night here at the Hawks. They will be wearing special one-off jerseys that can be won in the raffle. The tickets for the raffle are on sale now, both at the merch table on match night and on the website. They're priced at £5 each for your chance to win one of those awesome jerseys. 100% of all the money raised from the raffle will go to our 2 community organisations. All the highlights from our home games so far this season are online now on our YouTube channel. Just search Hawks TV and make sure you subscribe. Well then, let's move on and we'll get stuck into this episode's interview.
Hawks Talk.
With us now on episode 10 of the Hawks Talk podcast, we are joined by 2/3 of the coaching setup here at the Hawks. First of all, Hawks former D-man and now assistant coach, Ollie Lomax. How are you, Ollie?
I'm good, Graham. Are you, pal?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you.
Nice one.
And secondly, we have assistant coach Steve Hirst. How are you, Steve?
I'm very good, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you to both of you for taking time to come on the podcast. Always good to chat to you both.
No worries. Happy to be here, mate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's start off then with talking about the most recent games. First up, away to the Solway Sharks. How was that game for you, Ollie?
I thought it was excellent, to be honest, to push the national champions for 60 minutes like we did. And if we look at it, we was probably unlucky to come away with a loss. I mean, to take a lead into the last period in a building where hardly any teams have picked any points up over the last 3 years, it's definitely big strides forward for us as a group. And it was just a bit unfortunate that we didn't find a way to win. But you have to take your hats off to the Sharks. They're a classy organisation and they haven't got all those trophies in the cabinets for no reason. So they knew how to get it done, and we're definitely moving forward after a performance like that.
What were your thoughts on that game, Steve?
I think the lads 100% believed in themselves and give themselves every opportunity to win that game. And it was so exciting to be part of, especially on the bench, that, you know, if you looked at the way they played, it was just wave after wave of attack. And we'd actually trained on the Thursday specifically for that rink, and they did everything we asked them to do and more. And, you know, like Ollie said, It's only that Solway Sharks were phenomenal coming back at us, that they actually managed to beat us. Any other team we would have turned over that night. Any other team. It was fantastic to watch.
So how do you think that game compared to the game at the beginning of October when we faced the Sharks at home, Ollie?
Yeah, I mean, it's massive difference. We've had a couple more weeks together as a group, and obviously we've been trying to implement our systems. We've been working out from the back. Obviously, our goaltending has been very solid, and we're looking to be very strong at the back. And we were unfortunate that night. I think with Ozzy being away, I mean, I'm very confident in my coaching ability these days, and we set up to get a result that night. But sometimes, like you said, you have to credit the opposition. Always turn the gas on Saturday on Saturday night. Sorry, in the last period, and they did that at the beginning of the month, and they could do that to anyone, and they were ruthless. But look at the steps forward we've made since we played them at home, and next time we play them, I think we can take something from it.
Now, our last game at home was against the Deeside Dragons. How do you think the Hawks played in that game, Steve?
I think we actually showed everybody what we can do. I looked at it as the old and the new, and the new guard certainly put the pressure on. And you know, Deeside were trying to be the usual self, which is very dominant and physical. We don't play a very physical game. What we play is a fast, entertaining game of hockey, and we certainly put that into effect. It was absolutely brilliant, and you know, that last period we showed they were gassed, and we still had lots and lots in the tank, and I think that showed in that last period, and that's why we came back and got so many goals in that last period.
What about you, Ollie? I mean, you coached some of the players last season. How was it facing off against them?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit strange, to be honest. Obviously, when we found out that the Dragons were coming back, obviously it's great for the league and everyone, but we knew at least 3 or 4 of the local boys were going back there. We didn't think they'd pick up as many guys from us as they did, but each player is free to sign for who they want. So we've got our guys, and we're happy with our guys, and we've probably upgraded in youth and speed, if we're being honest. But it was a little bit strange. I mean, I've played in rivalries in the past where there's been lots of needle out there and been very physical and stuff like that. And it was a physical game, but there's a lot of respect between both rosters there. People like Snip and Wayne, they're great guys. I mean, you can battle out front. There were people. Snip were getting someone in a headlock, and someone had all the Wayne. I think Rids dragged Wayne to the ice and stuff like that. But afterwards, they were the first ones over. I spoke with Mike Clancy before the game. I had a good chat with him, seeing how he's doing. But the lads were straight over to us, congratulating us on 2 points. And the rivalry between us and Deeside, I think it's a very respectful and a very healthy one. The games will be entertaining, but in the bar afterwards and the text messages throughout the week, it's all very respectful. And I wish them the very best in every game other than playing us. And I hope they're right up there with us.
Well said.
Now, Steve, tell us about how you came to be a part of the coaching team here at the Hawks.
Well, I started coaching the academy, so the youth of the Hawklings, as they like to be called. So I've done that now for about 3 years, and obviously the problem that happened last year at Nottingham, then highlighted that they needed somebody, a level 2 coach, to go on the bench, and thankfully Ollie thought about me and asked me would I step up and do it. And as daunting a task as it seemed, I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. So I really do thank Ollie and the management for asking me to step up. And then thankfully and nicely they asked me again this season, and no hesitation whatsoever. As I say, the Hawklings, the young academy, need to have that connection between ourselves and the Hawks. So any kids out there, you know, if you want to play hockey at the level the Hawks are playing at the moment, come and join the academy. Get yourselves down on a Tuesday night and hopefully in a few years' time you'll actually get to play up and be part of the Hawks.
You've got a background in roller hockey as well, haven't you, Steve?
Only 20 years. It's not a long time, really. But yeah, originally, my son, Christopher Hirst, started a roller hockey team, which was kind of out of Manchester, Warting way. And we started that, it was Warting Cobras. And he decided to go to university and said, would you take over the team? So I then went and did my level 1 ice hockey and started coaching the Warting Cobras. And we were a very, very successful team. We even got somebody called Ollie Lomax playing for us at one time, who was an exceptional roller hockey player, I might say. Really, really top notch. And we just went from success to success. Then my lads then started playing ice hockey, and that's how I came over to play ice. And I've loved it ever since. And I still love roller hockey. It's fantastic. But ice with the Hawks has been brilliant. Really good.
How have you found it, Steve, then, from going from being Ollie's coach to now coaching alongside him?
Do you know what? It's such a fantastic achievement.
20 years difference, though, Steve.
Yeah, obviously I'm going to be a better coach then, aren't I? No, to be fair, it's been a really, really easy transition, and that's because Ollie's made it easy. When I first came, obviously Dominic wasn't involved. It was Ollie doing the coaching, and I did say to his dad, I love his coaching style. I love the way that he approaches the players. The players respect him, and he was doing a first-rate job. And for me to then step in and help him, most of my job, in fairness, is to motivate the players and hype them up and get them all ready to go on the pad. Ollie does the hard bit, which is to actually work out what they need, what he's looking for in the players, and Dominic's the same. And those two together have just started to fly. They really, really are bouncing off each other. And you can see it in training, the banter, the way it works in there. And it's great for me because even though I've got years and years of experience in coaching and hockey, these guys are streets ahead as far as ability. So it's great for me to kind of learn and learn underneath them. So yeah, it's been really good. I've enjoyed it.
Not that I'm calling you a dog, Steve, but you're proving that saying wrong. You can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah, well, they're teaching me certainly new tricks. There's a lot of stuff that I'm learning now that I didn't realise before. So certainly on the tactics side, and we can then take that down to the academy, to the youngsters, because there's things that these guys know at their level, Dominic and Ollie, that they know at their level. It just, you can't teach it. So they kind of, we get it and then take it down to the next level, to the academy. We've just had one young lad who's actually trained up at on the Hawks on Thursday night, and he's only 14. He went into his game on Saturday, a completely different player. And it just shows the advancement. Just having one or two sessions with the Hawks, it makes a massive difference.
I think I saw that on Instagram. Actually, is it Noah Percival?
Noah Percival, yeah.
Yeah.
The goal he scored at the end, Ollie, what was that like? It was,
Yeah, it was pretty naughty, wasn't it?
It was pretty naughty, but he's a good lad. He obviously he's still got a lot to learn, but what he did do, he took on board everything that we'd said and everything that Dominic and Ollie had shown him, and had a fantastic game apparently on Saturday. So that's really good.
It's good to hear, because we used to have a bit of a production line of players. I mean, like Ollie, Chris, yeah. Rick. Like, it's good to be able to have that again, and the future's looking bright.
That's what we need. That's what we need. We need that, like you say, that conveyor belt. You're quite right, and that's where it should come from. It should come from the home team first, and then everywhere else afterwards.
Definitely. Now, most people listening to this podcast will know about your playing time with the Hawks, Ollie. How have you found the transition from playing to coaching?
To be honest, at first it was strange, because it was one of the biggest decisions I've ever made in my life, honestly, to stop playing. And then the plan was to have a bit of time away from hockey because I've not had that from being 7 years old. And then things happened. The ownership took over, and the club started to move from strength to strength. But I still wanted to be respectful towards my old man because it's his business and stuff like that. I think for me to be tied into it at first, I didn't think it was fair. But then Carl and more so Carl, he was like, look, you need to be involved. And then I was like, look, no, respectfully, I decline. And then Ryan Finnerty got in touch with me, and I thought, wow, if Finner wants me to come and give this a whirl, I will. And then it's just gone from there, really, like whirlwind 2 years later, and I feel like I'm going from strength to strength as a coach. And I say this honestly, I'm not blowing my own trumpet or anything, but I'm a lot better at it than I thought I was going to be. My knowledge is quite good at the game, and I've always had a brain out there. When I could play, I've played on power plays, short-handed, all situations like that. So I know where players need to be, what systems we need to run, and I learned a lot off Ryan. And then, like I said, I spoke with Mike before the D-side game last week, although it was short-lived. I learned some few bits off Mike as well. And then, obviously, being chucked in at the deep end last year, I thought I did okay, and I was there, and I was counted on, and the lads loved working with me, I think, and I loved going into work with the lads every Thursday, and I look forward to Thursdays now, getting back out there on the ice, and then in the summer there was a discussion to be had about moving forward. Straight away I said, look, as a club moving forward, we need to bring someone in with a bit more coaching, more knowledge, and someone I can learn off, and because it is a long-term goal of mine to be around. And then we met with Ozzy, and it literally a couple of days we were firing ideas off each other, and like Steve said, Thursday nights are so fun, and like we approach every training session depending on who we're playing. Like if we're playing on a smaller rink, we'll do some drills and systems that are going to be applied to that certain rink on that weekend against a certain opposition. We're starting to do video now. I've redone all my exams on level 2s, and I'm looking to maybe go up to the next step and just develop as a person first and foremost, and a coach, and just whatever best for the club. Hopefully that involves me long term, and I'll just keep developing.
Definitely. Now, when you played, you used to have a bit of a routine or a superstition, whatever you want to call it, before we did opening face-off. Do you want to tell us that routine and what it was?
It's a bit weird, really, wasn't it? But I don't know. It started off small and then got a bit bigger. I kind of like to be the first one on the blue line and then the last one to leave. And then I used to tap both feet twice and then tap the centre spot. And then round the net, I didn't even listen, really. I just stood at the back and did my own thing. But I don't know, whatever gets you going. I kind of like to have a laugh and a joke with Steve before, keep it loose and have a bit of a laugh with Ozzy. And all we do now is give each other a little fist bump before the game and try and get the lads going. But I do miss it. I'd be lying if I said I don't miss it. But this is the next best thing to play.
I used to like it when you used to do your little lap at the end, because depending on the opposition, you used to get closer and closer to their blue line. And I think back in 2015 against Solway, you were pretty much in their team talk. You were that close to it.
I don't know. I used to. I don't know. I was a strange individual, really, when I played. When you watch, but I don't know. I used to like getting up for those big games. Like I say to the lads now, and Steve agrees with me. It's a privilege to play for a club this big and with such great and knowledgeable supporters that we have. Like, we're so blessed with our supporters, and for me, like, people have heard me on the radio, and people who speak to me on a regular basis know how much it meant to me to play for the Hawks. So in the period where we was up there and playing against teams who you knew the game it'd be good, and like I wasn't the best player, but I feel like I definitely brought my worth every single night and every single season, and whatever I could do to give us an advantage, be that if I could rattle some people or be a bit physical, come up with the odd good play during a game, that was just me. But like I said before, coaching wise, whatever's best for the club, and playing wise, I always had the club's intentions first. So if that's me getting under the skin of the opposition, that was it.
You hold a record for the Hawks. Do you know what it is?
Most penalty minutes.
Yeah, that's it. Do you know? Do you know the number?
I think it's 4 digits, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Not bad.
1132, according to
I tell you what,
specs.
joking aside, Aaron's not far off that one either.
No, he's about 900, I think. Off the top of my head. Yeah. That's just an age thing.
We'll have to stick him on the 4th line, won't we, Steve?
Yeah, drop him down.
That's the one.
Grind a
so
line.
he can't beat it.
Now, you played for the Hawks for a long time and your jersey's now hung in the rafters. You've played with so many different players over the years. If you had to pick your best line from all those players, who would it be and why? So you've got yourself in D. You can have one more D, a netminder, 2 wingers and a centre.
Right, where do you want me to start?
Wherever you want to.
We'll start from the back.
Yeah.
Can I have a starting goalie and a backup goalie?
For you, yeah.
Right. So, starting goalie, I think I'm going to go Stu Ashton, which is a bit of a curveball there. People might think I might go the other way with this, but growing up with Stewie, a couple of years older than Stewie, his compete levels are second to none. And when Dangy went down in that season, Stu came in, he came back from Widnes, he proved himself in the league that he could start at this level. He won games for us that season that people forget because we had a lot of firepower. People forget how good Stu was that season. And he carried on for a couple more years after. And when the game was close, Stu he'd be there for you. If that meant there was one game against Billingham where I think he ended up having a scrap, but there's people
I remember that.
He would do anything, not just save the puck. He'd agitate. He'd get the crowd against him. So I'm going to go for Stu Ashton as starting, and then backing up is obviously the obvious choice. He's probably the best goaltender that I've played with, but not the one that I'm going to choose to start. He's obviously Dangy.
Okay.
He's incredible. He was absolutely incredible for us. We play the EPL teams, and he'd keep them out, and he was such a good goaltender and such a good guy in the room. And if effort levels dropped below what was expected, he'd be the first one to tell you. Like if you had a lazy shift playing in front of Dangy, he'd let you know about it. But talk about dying for someone in front of you, you'd block shots for him, you'd move people out of the crease for him because you knew he had your back as much as you had his. So I'll go Stu starting and Dangy backing up in that.
Okay, so who's alongside you in D?
This is a tough question because obviously I've played with a lot of people, but obviously you've got to give Chris a big mention. He was captain of the team for a long time. He put up some really good numbers, come up with some big goals in situations. He used to drop the gloves when it was required. So Chris is obviously up there. Chris Butler, I played a lot of time with Chris Butler, unsung hero again.
Yeah, I'd
Craig
agree.
Rogers,
Craggers, yeah.
Kearney. I love playing with Kearney. Like I used to just love getting into battles with Reese in like Whitley Bay and Billingham and places like that. So I've got to give Kearns a mention. Bobby Streetley, love playing with Bob. I've got a lot of respect for Bobby because I played with him as a young kid. So to see him in the National League now, that's pretty cool. But I'm probably going to pick a forward as a defensive partner, but he is a defenseman by trade, and he's still doing it in the league. And he thought I had a really good game against us on Saturday, so I'm going to put Rick Bentham next to me on D because he's mustard and he's still doing it.
Nice. Who are you going for as your wingers?
So we'll go Addy Brittle.
Yeah, 100%.
Just because he could just put the team on his back, and the period where we got to the playoff final 5 years in a row, that was just because of the nonsense that Addy would do. And there was one game we were playing Manchester Phoenix away, and I think John Murray dropped the gloves with Addy, and then obviously because he was our skill player, we was like, no, someone get in between. But I don't know if you've seen him lately. He's an absolute beast, Addy, and he just continued to pummel him. And we was like, wow, he can fight as well. What a guy this guy is.
Was it Jake Nurse as well that dropped the gloves in that game?
Yeah, when Jake was with us.
Yeah, because I think he got his jaw broke or something like that.
Oh, that was against the Phoenix, weren't it? That was
Yeah.
against Bakalik.
Yeah,
the import. But that the game I'm on about is when we played the Minotaurs, I think it was called then. But yeah, unbelievable, and he did it when he went down to Solihull. He did it at Milton Keynes before us. So Addy on one wing, on the other wing, Aaron Davis, just because the numbers speak for themselves. And he's one of my best pals, and to share the locker room with him that I have for so long, and I just hold him in such high regard as a person as well. And I just think he'll do what it takes. The finals that we got to, he'd always pop up with the goals, and he's still doing it now, pretty similar to Rick. And to see him have the C on his chest this year, I know how much it meant to me, and I know how much it means to him. And I can't wait for that number 8 to be up there in the rafters with mine, which again I'm so privileged to see that. And then obviously the centre are going to have to go with the goal. Bobby Egg, best player I've ever played with. Brit, import, opposition, best player I've seen as a kid. IQ is off the chart. Some of the stuff that I've seen him do, unbelievable. And every opposition will say the same. And again, to see what the club did for Bob last year, unbelievable. And it was so well deserved. He put all the building blocks in place to make the Hawks what they are now. And I'm glad that got remembered. And then just one honourable mention, RJ Berra. He's a good friend of mine, and I thought he was unbelievable for the season that we had him. And he got picked up off an elite league outfit in Edinburgh, and I just become really good friends with him off the ice as well. And I still speak to him now. He's actually a skills coach in the WHL, so I kind of speak to him a lot about how things are going and stuff like that. And he's doing really well with his wife and his family now. So if I was to go and get an extra attacker on there, maybe I'd try and squeeze RJ in as well.
The WHL, that's a very good standard to be coaching at.
Yeah, unbelievable. And he's involved in Hockey Canada schemes and stuff like that. And you could tell he came from an NCAA program when we got him. I think we were lucky to get him. I don't know how he ended up with us, but he bought in straight away, and top person, and someone who I really enjoy playing with.
Definitely. Now, you've both been around the game for a long time. We'll start with you, Steve, on this one. What would you say has been the biggest change in that time?
It's not in black and white anymore.
Yeah, that is true. It's not in black and white anymore, and they wear helmets now as well. I think one of the biggest changes.
Who owns the Chiefs? Owns.
It's just, I think the equipment side of things has changed so much. If you look at sticks at the moment, it's just absolutely ridiculous. The sticks that are coming out, they're so lightweight, but they snap so easily as well. Not mine, because I don't have a shot, but Ollie would snap every shot, every stick going, I think. No, but I think as well, the game is changing. It's a more skillful game than it's ever been. And I think that's why we have the way the Hawks are being set up now is the right way. It's got to be fast. Yeah, if you look at football, how football's evolved, it's fast pace. It's all about speed, and the skill level is through the roof. And that's where we've got an advantage on a lot of teams. We went down to Nottingham, and the manager at Nottingham said, they've done a similar thing to what we're doing, which is going for youth and bringing that through and bringing, speed and skill through on a massive scale. I think that's going to be the biggest change. And I think we're streets ahead of that. And next season, on top of this season, we'll have a good season this season. But next season, you'll see that in abundance. So I think that's the biggest change. I think it's faster, it's more skillful. There's less of, if you like, brutality and hitting, which was part of the game before, and I think a good part of the game. I don't think it's a bad thing, but yeah. I think there's the IHA and everybody else are trying to take that away And if they are doing, then we're going to be well placed to take advantage of it.
What about you, Ollie? What would you say has been the biggest change?
Just people's speed, like Steve touched on, goaltending as well. Like if you look at the pro game in the NHL, like the goaltending's like unreal. Yeah. But yeah, it's people's skill set. Like I draw back when I started to break in. No one had ever seen like a toe drag or anything. But people now are like doing backhand towies. They're doing all sorts. People like that, like Kieran Brown in the National League for Leeds, is an absolute freak. But he's been on the ice with his dad since he's like 3 years old. And then so people like Kieran's age coming through, they've already had the puck glued to themselves on the ice, being so young. But it's just speed, skill, and like Steve said, the game's changed physical wise. I mean, I used to like put myself about a bit, even though I wasn't the biggest guy. But even from when I stopped, like I probably let myself down a little bit towards the last 18 months of my playing career, because I kind of got a little bit out of shape and started to pick up a little bit of hooking and slashing penalties and like that. And you can't do that in today's game. And it's just quick, and like Steve said, you've got to give credit to Ozzy for the roster that he's built. They're all young, they all want to get to that next level, and if we can get them moving quicker on that process, and then hopefully move some of the guys on, keep majority for next year, get a new wave in. That's the model we want to go down. But ultimately, we want to help these guys as individuals and get as many guys playing at higher levels than we can.
Brilliant stuff. Now, one question I like to ask everyone: is there a particular NHL team you support? We'll start with you, Steve.
New York Rangers.
Oh, my dad's team, that.
Is it? I remember watching Gretzky in his second to last game.
What was it like, Steve, watching it when there was only 6 teams?
Do you see what I mean about the banter? I get this. There's no respect whatsoever, especially for age in that dressing room. I'm telling you. Yeah. So I watched Gretzky play. They played the Blackhawks. They got beat, but it was a fantastic game. So whenever I went to New York, I would always go and Madison Square Gardens and go and watch them. So, but yeah, they're my favourite team, definitely.
What about you, Ollie?
I think you already know this, G. I'm a long-suffering Maple Leafs fan. Myself and Sam Dunford and Adam Baxendale and a few other guys played with. Obviously, we've had a long drought. It's been well documented, but got Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, Willie Nylander in there now.
Yeah, it's a stacked team.
We've got a lot of skill there, so hopefully the curse will get broken. But the window for us to win a cup has been open for the last couple of years, and then windows don't usually last a long time. So, and we've not made the best start this year. So hopefully we can see them hoist that cup in the next 5 to 10 years. But just on a side note, the NHL, I'm a student of the game myself. My dad will tell you this. Growing up as a kid, I'd always be watching Channel 5 highlights, NHL on the fly.
It used to be on Channel 5.
In the early 2000s. And then when YouTube became a thing, and Nicole will tell you now, at home, I'm always watching like the Penguins in the rooms, behind the Bees, Boston Bruins, and there's just been one on now, Nashville Predators training camp, like pre-season training camp, and it's just unbelievable to see how much of a business it is. And obviously we've got football over here and stuff like that, the Premier League, but just to see the day-to-day running of how NHL players and athletes approach the game, and like we touched on, people coming in with different skill sets now, like your Kieran Browns, that all comes from the NHL setting the bar. So I always love watching the NHL.
Yeah.
Now, this next part is where we ask our guests some questions that fans have sent in to us. Now, this first one is for you, Steve. It's been sent in by a Tom Ravis. I think you might know that person. He says, "What's it like being the Hawks poster boy?"
I don't think I could be the poster boy, not by any standards. But
McDavid, weren't you last week?
Yeah.
McHurst.
McHurst. I'll tell you what, the skill level on getting pictures onto Facebook is incredible with these guys. Yeah, I mean, obviously, with my physique and good looks, it's always been difficult not to be a poster boy, I would say.
This next one is for you, Ollie. It was sent in by Lauren. When you played, you wore the number 21. Why did you pick that number?
Because my favourite Hawks player growing up, Mark Johnson, used to wear number 21, and he was small, and he used to get involved in the niggly bits, and he'd do what it takes. And then I managed to get that number in the under 10s, and then I've never looked back, really. And it's weird. I've got it. I have it everywhere. I have it on my work. How sad is this? Like my drills at work, I have my initials and 21 on my drills. Just like an irrelevant piece of information for people. But yeah, that's where it come from. And he went on to work for Planet Ice, and obviously I've become decent pals with him over the last few years. And his lad's playing in the EPL now, Luke, and Luke wears number 21. So I think he was pretty chuffed when I told him the reason why. But yeah, Mark Johnson.
I always thought it was something to do with Bobby A being 22.
No, just Mark Johnson. He just used to put himself about just like a small guy, and just he was just a winner. And I don't know, just something about the number, it like amazes me now, and it's brilliant to see it where it is up there, and I get a lot of pride from that. And I thank John Neville who did that for me and recognised how much it meant to me and stuff like that. So I'll forever be in his debt for what he did for me and my family when I did call it time. But it's lovely to see Freya and Layla walking about with 21, Dad, and 21 Lomax, and Freya playing football with 21 on a shirt. It's nice, and it fills me with a lot of pride.
That's awesome.
Brilliant.
Now, we've got another one for you, Steve. This one's from Luke Watson.
Right.
You actually mentioned this gentleman earlier. What was it like to teach Wayne Gretzky how to play hockey?
Well, it was difficult. You know, he was a bit...
Did he play for Wharton Cobras, Steve?
He played for Wharton Cobras as well. Everybody played for Wharton Cobras at some point. And in fact, there is a little story that I'd sent David, which is my youngest son, and my oldest son, Christopher, over to Canada. And they actually went into a canteen, and Wayne Gretzky's dad was actually there and talked to both of them. So that's the connection with Gretzky. But no, I never got him to play, but he was an awesome player.
You're taking over these questions, Steve. There's another one here for you. I can neither confirm nor deny. This one's from Aaron Davis.
Right.
Does the delivery job get in the way of driving the team coach?
Right. Every single time I turn up for a game or training, Ollie has something to say about either what I wear or banter of what my job is. So I turned up one day in a suit to go on a away game, not knowing that you don't wear a suit to go away. So I got called a bus driver. On the last another trip out, I got called the Deliveroo driver from Ollie. And thankfully, I can do both jobs, and that's why I'm
where's the picture of you fighting the Just Eat guy?
Oh, there's a picture. Yeah, there's a picture where what Ollie said to the lads is, "Can you do a picture of Steve actually fighting a Deliveroo guy?" So they've actually got a picture of a Just Eat and Deliveroo guy driver with my face on it.
Fantastic.
So absolutely brilliant. So thank you, Aaron.
Speaking of suits, are you a fan of the attire you wear for the home games?
I love it. Me and Ollie are the smartest ones on that bench. Dominic comes in a close third.
I thought Anthony was third.
No, oh, yeah, no, I don't think. I think Anthony comes in a close fourth. I mean, Dominic did wear his tie. Dominic did wear his tie last time, didn't he?
Yeah, we bullied him into it, didn't we, pal?
We bullied him into it. Yeah. I just think it's good. I think it's nice to look smart, and you know, on the bench we send a clear picture we send the fear of God into the other teams. So it's good.
Like Wolf the Dentist Stanson from Mighty Ducks 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, this next one was sent in by Graham Lomax. You two might be familiar with him. I'm not too sure. He asks, what's it like being his dad, Ollie's granddad? It must be nice to have 3 generations in the same team.
This is another myth that's been born about allegedly, and I'll say allegedly. Somebody went up to Graham and said, "Oh, I've just been speaking to your dad." And he said, "My dad?" He said, "Yeah, your dad." And he went, "Who's that?" And he's pointed over and said, "Oh, Steve over there." Now, I don't know whether Graham's made this story up, but he likes to tell it around the rink every single opportunity he can. So, Ollie, you're now my grandson. Poor thing.
I believe it was Scott O'Dale, Alex's dad, that asked Gratz.
Was it? Well, I will be having a word with Scott then.
An extra lot for Alex. Oh, he is,
He's a big fella, yeah, but I will have a word.
And the last question from our fans is, there's no name on this one, but he wears the number 23. I'm grassing them all in here, chucking them right on
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Could you ask Steve what it's like playing in the OAP Hockey League? Getting pelters, aren't you?
I'm getting fantastic. I do play roller hockey for the vets, which is, if you like, an older person's league. And I absolutely love that. And I have been known to play in the Masters, which is the over 34 league at Nottingham.
Hey, I qualify for that.
I was going to say that, Ollie.
There you go. Well, we could be on the same side, which would be brilliant. I actually do not feel old at all. And what is really, really, really good is when I go on the ice with these youngsters, they make you feel so welcome and they make you feel like you're 25. And that's how I feel. So, you know, I may look old, I may be old, but I don't feel old at all. Not in any way, shape or form.
I think we've got quite a good group of lads this year. I think it's
brilliant.
It's a nice balance. I think you've got some characters, you've got some experience, and you've got a lot of youth as well. It's good.
Yeah.
Can I just say something on the lads' behalf, Graham?
Of course you can. Fire away.
I know, like they've fired in a couple of questions there, but the fact that Steve's there week in, week out, and the energy that he brings it, and the good feelings that he brings to the bench, the away trips and the practices, stuff like that, and to have him there as a level 2 coach, hopefully he's picking bits up off the lads, he's picking bits off me, Ozzy, he can take that to the youngsters. And I know we laugh and joke and you enjoy it, but on behalf of myself, Ozzy, the ownership and the boys, we love every second that you're in that dressing room, Steve. And I know you know it's good natured, and long may it continue, and you're doing a cracking job.
No, I absolutely love it. The banter is fantastic. And, you know, when you're around young people, you keep young. That's the biggest thing. And, you know, like you say, we've got a young squad, but Ollie has been a revelation for me. And so has, and in fairness, Graham and Carl are good fun. Dominic as well. Dominic has started to come out with himself a little bit more, I think. And it's a great atmosphere, especially in the changing rooms. We've got Darren there as well. Darren's really good on the coaching side. So I think we've got a great team, not only a team on the ice, but a team off the ice as well. And Ollie, you know, the same goes for you. I do respect you, you know that. And I think what you've done as a coach and bloomed, I think has been fantastic.
Oh, you guys.
I know. It's a bromance.
Now, the last question before I let you two go. What are your aims for the rest of the season? We'll start with you, Ollie.
So the aims for us as a club is just to grow from the top to the bottom. Like, it starts with my dad and Carl, the great work that they're doing. They're going to develop as owners, and the engagement that we've got with the crowd starts from them guys, and the great work that they're doing with the Help for Heroes night, retro night, the Green Night, all stuff like that. It's innovating and leading. Like other teams aren't doing that. So we'd like to lead on that front, and then coaching wise, we just need to develop as coaches and get these players to the next level as quickly as we can, and then players just enjoy being at Blackburn, because there's no better place to play than in front of a Blackburn crowd on a Sunday night when it's packed. So just enjoy it and aim as high as we can, and then just for the supporters listening to this, just get yourselves down, vote with your feet, make sure you enjoy every single opportunity, because the season goes quick. And things like this, the work that you're doing, Graham, it helps boost the club and stuff like that. So as an organisation, we're going from strength to strength, and let's just get this year under our belts, playing the way that we're playing, fast, and just see where we go. But let's just enjoy the ride.
I mean, you know yourself, Ollie, I've been watching the Hawks for a long time, and this is the most I've enjoyed being a Hawks fan. Just the whole experience.
Yeah, because it's just because you're valued. Like every single person that comes in that arena on a game night is valued. I mean, like for me to play for as long as I did, and people like Aaron, it was still going strong. The drive for you to do that is, you don't get that feeling that you do playing in a full arena, and we do it for the supporters, and the owners are doing it for the supporters, and like the most knowledgeable people in the league, and the most respectful as well. Like I don't want to get into nitty gritty, but that was one of the main reasons why I hung it up. Just putting up with the stick. It's absolutely uncalled for these days in the age of social media. But you don't necessarily get that at Blackburn, and there's just such a knowledgeable crowd, and we're just going from strength to strength as an organisation.
And yourself, Steve, what are your aims for the rest of the season?
Exactly what Ollie said. You know, it's all about getting the team up there and getting the players to be the best they can be. But I think, you know, from myself personally, enjoying the experience, enjoying the ride, getting the coaching side of it, it's improving my coaching, watching these guys. So that helps me down, going down the levels. So it certainly helps on that side, and it keeps you alive. It keeps you alive. All that excitement going down every Thursday and then go to the match. It keeps you alive, and for the fans, it's fantastic to see the faces when you look around and see the crowds. We are one of the best supported clubs in the country. I go to other places. Some of them, I'll give Sheffield as a shout. I feel sorry for the lads at Sheffield. They try as hard as we do. There's nobody in the crowd for them. There's very, very few people in the crowd. Whereas we've got fantastic fans that turn up every week for us. It's absolutely brilliant. That stadium is buzzing when we go in. And to be a part of that, what more can you ask for? So we just want to keep that going and just get it stronger and stronger, week in, week out, and keep it going for as long as we can keep it going. As Ollie said, the owners are doing a great job of coming up with different ideas to make it exciting to come into the arena. There's not many places doing that. They're just playing hockey, which is fantastic in itself. But to then put an exciting theme around that as well, like the veterans and things, it's fantastic. It's very creative. And that's what we need in the sport. We need that to encourage other people to watch it and enjoy it. Let's make it like the NHL. What's wrong with it? Us saying that and actually trying to do it and achieve it.
I mean, the amount of people that come to watch a game for the first time, whether they've got free tickets or something like that. Yeah. And then it's an addictive sport. I mean, I was hooked from the early 90s.
Yeah. It's fantastic. And it's great to be a part of it, but it's just as good to sit there and watch it, because when these lads are on fire, they are on fire. And, you'll see it more and more and more as they believe in themselves, as their confidence grows. This team is just going to go from strength to strength. Absolutely.
I agree. Now, that's all we've got time for on this episode of the Hawks Talk podcast. Thank you to Ollie and Steve for coming on.
Our pleasure.
Cheers, Graham.
Thank you.
And the best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much.
Have you had your meds, Steve?
I'm just going to take them now, son.
All right, pal.
Hawks Talk.
Thank you once again to Ollie and Steve for coming on the podcast. The latest edition of the Hawks Mag is out now as well. It's available for free, that's right, costs you absolutely nothing, and it's available from the Hawks website. I'll also put the link in the description as well. We also have some player jerseys still available for sponsorship. These have been reduced in price as well, from £70 down to £50, and it's the perfect way to support your favourite player. Our next home game is Sunday the 12th of November, which is our Armed Forces night. Tickets are available on the door, or you can pre-book in advance on the Hawks store. Thank you all once again for tuning in to this episode of the Hawks Talk podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on whichever platform you're listening to us on. I'll be back on the next episode. Until then, see you later.
Hawks Talk.